Bishop IV. Hilliard has been a prominent figure associated with the prosperity gospel, a theological belief system that posits that faith in God can lead to material wealth and physical health. This teaching has garnered increasing popularity in many megachurches, with Hilliard being one of its most visible advocates. The central tenet of the prosperity gospel is that God desires his followers to lead abundant lives, which encompasses not only financial prosperity, but also physical well-being and success in various endeavors. For many adherents, this message serves as a form of healing, offering a tangible sense of reward for spiritual faithfulness. However, the prosperity gospel has faced substantial criticism, both from secular observers and within Christian circles. Detractors argue that this teaching distorts the essence of Christian doctrine by placing excessive emphasis on worldly riches rather than spiritual growth, humility, and service to others. Critics claim that it misleads believers into thinking their financial status is a direct reflection of their faith, leading them to believe that if they are not wealthy or successful, it is due to a lack of faith. This creates a dilemma for many Christians who feel pressure to contribute more to the church in hopes of receiving God's financial favor. Hilliard's sermons frequently underscore the significance of sowing into the ministry, suggesting that those who give generously will be rewarded by God with financial blessings. This has led to accusations that the prosperity gospel preys on the hopes and fears of vulnerable believers, especially those facing financial struggles. Critics view this as a manipulative practice, as the focus on donations seems to benefit the church and its leaders more than the congregation. Despite the criticisms, Hilliard's supporters maintain that his teachings are biblically based and that the prosperity gospel is merely an extension of God's promises to bless his people when they are faithful in their giving and service. However, the controversy intensified in 2023 when Hilliard sent a letter to his congregation and donors requesting $52,000 to repair the blades of the church's helicopter. This letter promised that those who contributed would receive divine blessings and accelerated favor from God. The helicopter was used for travel between New Light Christian Center's multiple campuses in Texas, but the request for donations specifically for such an extravagant item led to widespread outrage. Public reaction was swift and harsh, with many questioning why a church would need a helicopter in the first place. Hilliard was accused of leveraging his position to finance a lifestyle that seemed far removed from the experiences of the average churchgoer. Critics argued it was inappropriate for a church leader to ask congregants, many of whom were likely struggling financially, to fund a luxury item like a helicopter. This controversy sparked broader discussions about financial accountability among church leaders, particularly those in megachurch settings. Some viewed the incident as part of a larger pattern of financial mismanagement within prosperity-driven ministries, where leaders are perceived to prioritize their comfort over the well-being of their congregations. Supporters of Hilliard, however, contend that the helicopter was a vital tool for ministry, enabling him to travel quickly between campuses and effectively manage the church's operations. They also emphasize that giving to the ministry is a personal choice and that those who believe in Hilliard's vision should have the right to contribute without facing judgment. In defense of his request, Hilliard stated that the helicopter was necessary for the efficiency of his ministry work. Although the controversy raised significant questions about the ethics of such requests and whether funds could have been better allocated to serve the community or support outreach programs. Bishop Hilliard's lifestyle has also been a focal point of criticism throughout his ministry. Like many megachurch pastors, he enjoys considerable wealth, owning luxurious homes, expensive cars, and other high-end items. His opulence has drawn frequent criticism as excessive for a religious leader, particularly one who claims to embody the teachings of Jesus Christ, who lived a life characterized by simplicity and sacrifice. The core of this controversy lies in the stark contrast between Hilliard's personal wealth and the financial struggles many of his congregants face. Critics argue that a pastor living in luxury sends the wrong message, especially when the Christian faith emphasizes humility, generosity, and service to the poor. They contend that Hilliard's lavish lifestyle undermines his credibility as a spiritual leader and raises questions about the transparency of his ministry's finances. There are also concerns that the prosperity gospel, which Hilliard promotes, can create a toxic cycle in which congregants give more in hopes of achieving wealth, only to find that their financial situations do not improve while their pastor continues to live in luxury. Conversely, supporters argue that Hilliard's success and wealth are testaments to God's blessings. They believe that his prosperity stems from faithfulness, hard work, and divine favor, contending that wealth should not be viewed with shame, but celebrated as a means to further God's kingdom. Hilliard himself has stated that he uses his wealth to support the church's ministries and outreach programs, asserting that living in prosperity demonstrates God's goodness to the world. Nevertheless, the tension between wealth and spirituality continues to be a contentious topic in discussions about Hilliard's ministry, with critics calling for increased accountability and transparency regarding how church funds are utilized. Bishop Hilliard's decision to place numerous family members in key leadership positions within New Light Christian Center has sparked allegations of nepotism. His wife, Bridget Hilliard, serves as co-pastor, and his daughters, including Pastor Ivy Hilliard Jr., hold significant roles in the church's operations and ministries. While family-run churches are not uncommon, this situation has raised concerns about a lack of diversity in leadership and the potential for unchecked power within the church. Critics argue that family-run ministries can result in an unhealthy concentration of power where decisions are made based on familial loyalty rather than what is best for the congregation. They also point out that appointing family members to leadership roles without a clear merit-based process can lead to a lack of accountability, as family members may be less inclined to challenge or question one another's decisions. On the other hand, supporters of the Hilliard family maintain that having a family-based ministry fosters greater unity and consistency in leadership. They view the Hilliards as a family deeply committed to ministry and believe their shared vision for the church is a strength rather than a weakness. Furthermore, they argue that family-run ministries have biblical roots, citing examples such as King David and his descendants, who were given leadership roles in Israel by divine mandate. While family-controlled leadership is not inherently problematic, it raises significant questions about how church leadership should be structured and whether a more democratic or diverse leadership model would better serve the needs of the congregation. Over the years, allegations of financial mismanagement have surfaced within Bishop Hilliard's ministry. New Light Christian Center, being a mega church, generates significant amounts of revenue through tithes, offerings, and donations, prompting questions about how these funds are managed and whether they are being used appropriately. Critics have pointed to instances where church funds appear to support Hilliard's lavish lifestyle, including the purchase of luxury cars, private aircraft, and the construction of high-end facilities. There are also concerns about a lack of transparency in the church's financial dealings, with some congregants expressing feelings of being inadequately informed about how their donations are utilized. Despite these concerns, no legal actions have successfully been pursued against Hilliard, and his ministry continues to operate with the backing of a large and loyal congregation. Supporters argue that the church's financial decisions are made with the ministry's best interests in mind, and that Hilliard's success reflects God's favor on his life and work. This controversy underscores broader issues of accountability within megachurches and the pressing need for greater transparency in how church funds are managed. Bishop Hilliard's church growth strategies have also come under scrutiny. New Light Christian Center has evolved into a large, multi-campus megachurch, largely due to Hilliard's business-savvy approach to ministry. He has employed modern marketing techniques, including television broadcasts, social media outreach, and paid advertisements to expand the church's membership and influence. While these strategies have proven effective for growth, they have been criticized for adopting a corporate and business-like mentality. Critics contend that the focus on numerical growth and financial success detracts from the church's spiritual mission, transforming it into a business rather than a sanctuary of worship. Additionally, there are concerns that these growth strategies place excessive emphasis on attracting new members, potentially neglecting the spiritual development of existing congregants. Nevertheless, supporters of Hilliard's approach argue that contemporary methods are essential to reach people in today's digital landscape. They assert that utilizing technology and marketing to spread the gospel is a reflection of the times and that churches must adapt to remain relevant and continue to grow. They further maintain that church growth signifies a healthy and vibrant ministry and that reaching more people with the message of Christ should be the ultimate goal of any church. Bishop Hilliard has also developed close relationships with other well-known prosperity gospel preachers, including Kenneth Copeland, Creflo Dollar, and Joel Osteen. These leaders, like Hilliard, have faced criticism for promoting a version of Christianity that emphasizes wealth, health, and personal success as indicators of faith. Hilliard's association with these figures has ignited debates within Christian circles regarding the ethics of the prosperity gospel and its impact on modern Christianity. Critics argue that these collaborations form a unified front for the prosperity gospel, which they view as a misleading and potentially dangerous theology. They contend that these preachers, by working together and appearing at one another's events, promote a message prioritizing personal wealth over spiritual integrity and communal service, often overlooking the harsh realities of poverty, inequality, and suffering while offering overly simplistic solutions to complex issues. Conversely, supporters of Hilliard and his fellow prosperity preachers perceive their collaboration as a powerful force for good. They argue that these leaders are merely teaching biblical principles about God's desire for his people to prosper and be in good health. They point to the charitable work undertaken by many of these ministries, such as feeding the poor and providing disaster relief, as evidence that the prosperity gospel is not solely about personal gain, but also involves helping others. New Light Christian Center boasts state-of-the-art facilities equipped with advanced sound systems, lighting, and multimedia setups, resembling corporate offices or luxury spaces more than a traditional church. Critics argue that the construction of such extravagant facilities is unnecessary, particularly for a place of worship. They believe that funds expended on these buildings could be better allocated to serve the community, support outreach programs, or address the needs of the poor and struggling. This controversy is further exacerbated by the fact that many of the church's congregants are not wealthy, leading to accusations that Hilliard is more focused on crafting an image of success than on fulfilling the spiritual and practical needs of his congregation. Supporters of Hilliard's vision, however, contend that the luxury of the church's facilities reflects God's blessings and favor. They argue that creating beautiful, well-equipped spaces for worship honors God and provides a welcoming environment for congregants. Additionally, they maintain that modern technology and high-quality facilities are vital for attracting new members and cultivating a dynamic and engaging worship experience. In 2017, Bishop Hilliard announced his retirement as the senior pastor of New Light Christian Center, passing the leadership mantle to his daughter, Pastor Ivy Hilliard, Jr. The transition was seamless, with Hilliard remaining actively involved in the church's operations while his daughter assumed greater leadership responsibilities. However, this succession plan has not escaped criticism, as it reinforces the perception that the church functions as a family-run business rather than a community-driven ministry. Detractors argue that it exemplifies nepotism, asserting that Hilliard's daughter was appointed to the leadership position primarily due to her familial connections rather than a transparent or merit-based selection process. They contend that church leadership should be determined by divine calling, qualifications, and the needs of the congregation, rather than by family ties. Supporters of the Hilliard family, on the other hand, view the succession as a continuation of a spiritual legacy. They argue that it is natural for family members who have been deeply involved in ministry to assume leadership roles, emphasizing that their shared commitment to the church strengthens its mission. The ongoing debates surrounding Bishop DeFore Hilliard's ministry illuminate the complexities of the prosperity gospel, the financial practices of megachurches, and the ethical implications of leadership dynamics within faith communities.